Good day, Hayley Jepson. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
That was very formal, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, I
Hello,
am.
Maddie.
I'm Madeline Eileen. Thank you. Full name, fans. Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. Thanks. Today we are going to be talking about a person at a particular stage of business where they are full, they're busy, they're booked and busy, which is great, and they're maybe deciding what to do next to grow in terms of do I hire, do I not hire? Because I know that you are like the leadership OG. I work with some people in this
Bless you.
position. So yeah, tell us how this is showing up for you and your business and the people that you're working with.
I coach salon owners a lot, and usually, obviously, people come to me quite a lot when they're stressed.
You're the
They're
burnout
feeling
queen.
overwhelmed. They're
Yeah.
a burnout queen as well. And
Yeah.
so, I see what turns up when salon owners turn up wanting to get coached by me, and they're overwhelmed. What often happens is they're in this dilemma of let's say they've got a few members of staff, the salon's really busy, but they're
Mhm.
not necessarily seeing loads of reward for that, maybe. And they
Yeah.
get in this junction of, shall I hire more people and really go for it,
Mhm.
but I'm knackered? Or shall I just bin it all off and stop hiring? And I see that salon owners get into this, should I hire or stop hiring?
Mhm.
Dilemma in their head, then that's what's causing them the stress because they're trying to figure out, how do I get rid of this stress? And they think, shall I solve that by hiring or shall I solve that by stopping hiring altogether? And
Yeah.
so I see that turn up a lot in my coaching. And also, I see a lot of people who have maybe left an employed salon. They've gone freelance in whatever way, maybe they start out mobile, they rent a chair. And then when they get really successful and they're at capacity, and often it's when they've got their own like little studio, they start
Mhm.
thinking, I could rent out another chair here, or I could employ an assistant, and they
Mhm.
start to realize that they're successful and they can only get so far by themselves. And they start thinking about, who do I need to hire or who could I hire
Mhm.
to push this forward? And so that's kind of how I'm seeing it show up, Maddie, really in my work. What about you?
Yeah, it's sort of similar. So in obviously you are a program coach inside of Breakthrough, and the whole sort of
Mm-hmm.
crux of that is for people who are beyond booked. They have more clients than they have time, and they are wanting to drop a day a week behind the chair. Sometimes because they're trying to explore like other options, like education, product brands, some side hustle, or just they just want a Friday off, which don't we all? Um, and people come into there. Sometimes they're freelancers who exactly the same. Like they've reached this point and they're like, should I do this? Like I've got the demand is there. They can see the demand. They've maybe got this big wait list. We know from coaching them that they're saying yes and squeezing people into hours that don't exist, and they
Yeah.
are like absolutely ghost. Um, but sometimes we are having their salon owners as well who are exactly the same. Like, do I hire more people, or actually sometimes do I not hire anyone? And do I try and see if my staff can transition to freelance? We've had someone in there who's actually had an employed salon and then closed that down. I think a team took that on and she just worked on her own because that was, what came to be the best thing for her. So yeah, we see all these different kind of ideas, and what it comes down to for me is like, what is your idea of success? I'm like so mindful that I do
Yes.
not ascribe or push a particular idea of success in terms of like what the business model is. I just want people to get paid well for the work they put in,
Mm-hmm.
and have a life that they enjoy and work with nice clients. But
Mm-hmm.
I've seen so many people who are like, I just want to have my name above the door, and I'm like, you
Yeah.
could do that on your front door. Why does can I ask why why do you want that? And they're like, I don't know. I just think that I should, or that there's sometimes it's like proving it to other people. There's a lot of people in the outside world think that our profession's like to be looked down on. So the only way to prove yourself is to like have your name in lights. And I think we've just got
Yeah.
to get really like reflective on what actually do I want and what is success to us. I think it's a very like
Mm-hmm.
nuanced topic. What do you think?
Yeah. I see people, I've spoken to salon owners in the past who say things like, I just always thought getting an empire was what you did. You
Yeah.
know, like, and
Yeah.
if you
Growing and
weren't
growing.
growing and getting bigger, you weren't doing well. And I do think
Yeah.
there's certainly this thing about some people feeling like everybody's watching. And so I
Definitely.
should
Yeah.
be doing this,
Yeah.
and to look successful, I need to be doing this and not standing
Mhm.
still. But for me, what I say to everybody when I'm coaching them and they're talking about stuff like this is, how do you want to spend your days? When people are talking to
Yeah.
me about burnout or their goals or what they want, I just say, in the end, I really believe for your mental health, which is obviously my number one concern, you've got to think about how you want to spend your days and does that make you happy? Because sometimes there are certain goals that we want, but getting to them means really rubbish days. Like you're not spending your time in a nice way. And for
Yeah.
me, success is enjoying my days. Like, honestly, Maddie, I am so happy this week with how my days are going. Like, I looked
Yeah.
at my diary early on this week and I thought, what a week. It's just, I'm getting to spend my days in such good ways this week. And that feels like massive success to me. And so when
Yeah.
I say that to people, they're like, oh, because people are often fixated on the end goal. And I
Hmm.
think you've got to get obsessed with the process,
Oh my
because the
God.
process is
Yes.
your life. The
Yeah. This is
process
it.
is your life, and
Yeah.
you have to enjoy the process of the goals you're working towards. Because,
Yeah.
as me and you reach goals and you celebrate for about 2 minutes and you're on to the next one. They never feel
Yeah.
as sweet as you think.
I know, and I think this is maybe another episode because honestly,
Yeah, write it down
it,
quick.
yeah, that'll go out of my brain. Yeah, we've been really, fortunate enough to hit some really cool milestones that I would never have thought were possible. And you go, oh, that's cool, and I maybe take a little screenshot or something and go, oh, look what we did, and then the next day
Yeah.
everything's the same, nothing changes, and then you're like, okay, what am I doing next? But you'll be very pleased with this, Hilly. On Friday last week, I had 4 naps in one day. It's getting to the
Oh,
point where I'm like, do I need this to be looked at? Because it's probably not well. But
is this my new full-time gig?
yeah, I was like, I was
Professional
like,
napper.
yeah, I did like gym, nap, Pilates, nap, lunch, nap. Well, I did some work in between, thank God. But I feel so much more overwhelmed by a feeling of success when I am sat having a coffee. We live at the coast, so we're dead lucky. There's loads of gorgeous little dogs in jumpers, and it's like a Tuesday, and I'm like, I could cry. Like, I just feel like that
Yeah.
feels so much more successful for me, like curating the days. And yeah, there's an
Yeah.
element of like there's some sacrifice at some points where we, for some days to happen in the future, we do have to work harder, like in the beginning. But I think we've got to know what that run way looks like, and that we don't just end up being like every day is really hard, but I don't know how I'm going to stop having those hard days. Like, we want to be like,
Yeah.
if I do 6 months of hard days, then I get 6 years of really nice days later. But I love that question, and
Yeah.
I've seen you ask it before, and
Yeah.
people, it's like the most simple question ever, and people are
I
like,
know.
oh, like penny drop.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think it is really interesting, and I think really what's going on a lot with the to hire or not to hire or even to stop hiring question is people are trying to solve a problem, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
By
Yeah.
doing it usually,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're trying to remove some
Definitely.
sort of stress,
Yeah.
or that's how it comes. Well, actually, that maybe that's not true. That's how it certainly comes to me at my
Well,
door. But also,
yeah.
some people are just wanting to grow.
Yeah.
And that's that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, however, we've got 3 things that we think
Yeah.
are really important to consider if you're
Yeah.
planning on hiring, not hiring, or stopping hiring, maybe.
Yeah.
And so, go on, Maddie, you talk us through the first one.
Yeah. So the first one to consider is control, and how much control do you want, and be honest with yourself, because some people think they're easy breezy and then in the moment they're not. So I would be
Yeah.
considering, does having, some people think that if I have, let's say the question is, do I have staff or do I have renters? And most people say, if you want to have control, have staff. If you want to have no control, but also like less responsibilities, have renters. I have had both, and I think there's a lot of grey area here, because
Yeah, me
there are
too.
some instances where having renters, if the culture of the business is really established, like I was very lucky because I had employees who then became renters, so we had an established like way of doing things, so not really that much changed. Whereas I've seen previously when I've hired in renters and they've done something in a very different way to how we would, that's hard. And I see this with coaching clients where the person's maybe not tidying up in the way that they would expect, or they're a bit creative, which is my word for, that's what I say about myself. I'm very creative, i.e. this colour all over the ceiling. And then that's making the owners like eye twitch because, you know, all of these things.
Yeah.
And also like with employees, like they're human, so you don't really have control. Like you can set expectations and you can have like rules and processes, but also you've got to think just having those doesn't automatically mean the person's going to follow it. And also how okay are you at having difficult conversations,
Yes.
which is again your jam, and like you see this all of the time.
Yes.
So yeah, thinking about what is control, how do you feel when you're not in control? Are you okay with having hard conversations to regain a bit, or are you okay giving up some and not being so much of a micromanager
Yes.
as well?
And
Yeah,
let
all
go
of
a
those.
little bit.
Yeah,
You've
absolutely.
got to let go a little bit to grow, haven't you? I think for sure.
Totally.
Like
Yeah. In any business.
You know, when you're holding on tightly to everything, you just can't grow. And I see that so often when I'm coaching people. That's the problem. And I see it in myself, you know, and you know, we've had conversations. I see it in you know, it's that thing of I've got to let go of this control to be able to hire people.
Yeah. But honestly, for us, like this has been a big, it's been a big lesson for me in the last year. And I have released the most control ever in our business. And it is the numbers are reflected, like we're doing better than we've ever done. Like I'm having 4 naps a day. Like, trust me, it's okay. But it's also making good hiring decisions. And I've not always made good hiring decisions. And there's, you know, lots of conversations behind the scenes, you know.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was thinking every time I've relinquished a bit of control and someone does something for me, like I hire someone. So obviously I'm not hiring stylists. I'm hiring VAs and website people and what have you. It always feels good.
Oh, it's so
but
nice.
I've had to be like less control-y, you know, and it's, it is a massive thing that though, isn't it, to consider. How's that going to go? You're going to need to get good at difficult conversations. You're going to have to be able to let go a bit, go with the flow a bit more. Yeah, difficult.
Yeah.
And so the second thing I think that's really important to think about when you're considering hiring or not hiring is freedom. And so I think some people hire salon owners because they want to work less in the salon. That's their dream. They want to work less in the salon. So they want to build a great team so they can step away. And I think that's absolutely possible. You know, we know Emma Hellier does that. My friend Ian does that as well. They're both running salons in the UK from other countries and doing a smashing job of it, aren't they?
Amazing.
But, you know, I feel like what I notice is, and again, I think this does really tap into the control bit a little bit though. I've spoken to a lot of salon owners who they're hiring more people and they are stepping away from behind the chair a little bit, but they feel so guilty and they feel like they've always got to be in the salon. So they're not even really enjoying this freedom that they've created because they feel guilty. And I've had people say to me, I feel like the staff think I'm just swanning around living a life of Riley.
Yes.
And I'm like, and again, it's this obsession with what people are thinking on the outside looking in, isn't it? Like you can't be successful if you're not busy. And I think it can be tied to productivity and all of that. You know, if I'm not busy, I'm not working properly and stuff like that. But I think you've really got to think about, do you want more freedom? How are you going to create that? You know, just all of that. Yeah, I think that.
I had this conversation yesterday actually with someone who I'm working with who's doing this, and she was saying, I feel like I have to tell my staff what I'm doing on my days that I'm not there. Like, oh, so I've done all my accounts, and when really, if you think it's our industry, so funny. If you think about any other companies, like love him or hate him, Mr. Bezos, he isn't turning up and putting a shift in the warehouse to like show his face. Do you know what I mean? Like no other companies does the owner or the CEO. apart from maybe on Undercover Boss, which is brilliant.
I was just thinking about that. That just
So
popped into
good.
Red Maddie.
I might do it in my house. I'll put a disguise on, rub my tattoos off. Yeah, it's like they feel it's, and again, this is something that you help with, is like overcoming this guilt feeling of like, what will they perceive of me? Do it like, because you are entitled, you've built this business, you're entitled to do literally whatever you want if you've created something in which it lets you step away. But we do worry, and we worry what goes on if I'm not there, what are they talking about? We want to like manage what the conversations are and make sure no one's having some sort of revolution behind closed doors. And so we end up just staying there or bringing our laptop to work or whatever.
All of that. And I feel like when people who are hairdressers and have been used to being fully booked 5 days a week for years, and they've built their salon like that, they find it they feel like it's lazy if you're not doing clients, like it's not proper work. I mean, I see that everywhere. When I always do this when I teach, when I do public speaking around burnout, how many hours do you work? And, who doesn't count washing towels and booking clients as work when everyone's there with the hand up? Because when you ask hairdressers how much they work, they tell you their hairdressing hours. They never count all the admin and all the other stuff. And if you're going to employ people, that you're going to have more to do. And this becomes a dilemma, doesn't it, around freedom and control for people, really? Yeah. So these are big things you've got to have a good look inside at.
There's something that's just popped in my head as well, and it kind of sits on the end of freedom as well. I've worked with a couple of people where they're the owner, and sometimes it is because then their salon is named after them. So like psychologically, this is kind of what's happening. But sometimes it's just because they're known as the owner, where clients want to come to them above everyone else. So they think, I'm going to hire in, I've got a very good friend, Kim, and we worked on like a strategic price increase. We put hers up so high to like make a bunch of them go to her staff and be like, oh, look, you can go to me for this, but you can go to them for, it's like, what a bargain. And not one single person wanted to move. And it started this like bidding war where people were like, well, I'll pay more. Like, can I stay? So she had to literally write a list of people and like break up with X number of people. Wow. So there's this thing of like, it's like a status thing in like sales psychology. Like people want to say, oh, my hairdresser's so-and-so, I go to this person, I go to the Tony and Guy, or you know what I mean?
I see Tony.
Me and Tony are like this. So like sometimes we think, oh, we're going to have this freedom business. I'll have a salon, I'll have loads of staff. But if you're then known, and someone else I was speaking to last week said they're the only one who is okay doing face-to-camera content. So because they're doing that, everyone's like, I want to go to you. Because the staff are like not okay doing that. So I was like, So there's all of these things like floating about.
And that's another letting go thing, isn't it? Because if you're the salon owner and I see this so often when salon owners come to me and they're burnt out, they are the busiest in the salon and they feel like really it's their income from the clients that's keeping the show on the road. And to relinquish any of that and push people toward it's a real letting go, difficult thing to do that because it's tied up in money and fear and all sorts, isn't it? So it's a big conversation that.
Yeah. And that takes us nicely because number 3, thanks for the segue. Number 3 is money. And exactly that. Like I've seen people, and I've been in this position where I have been working to pay a member of staff who's like quieter or who's like you're sort of onboarding. So you've got this real catch-22 of, I have to be working with clients to make enough to cover the wage bill, but I am now so busy that I don't have time to train up and support this person. And then there's the like, and I'm pissed off because now they're sat on their phone or not doing anything while I'm grafting my arse off, and not a good cycle to get into. So there's that side of the money thing. And with employees as well, obviously you've got your overheads are higher, so you need to be turning over more, you need to be bringing more in to cover the extra, wages, pays you a national insurance, holiday pay, and then you're going to hit the VAT threshold. In the UK at least, like I think if you've got one person, ideally you want to be hitting it, but then really far over that. And actually another thing that's like not necessarily, well, it's kind of money, but I saw something in my Facebook group this week and I'd never actually seen it happen or thought about it. And I thought, oh my God, this is such an awful situation for this person to deal with. And they have employed staff, and one of their staff members had a very close family bereavement, like really suddenly. And obviously the owner's a really lovely leader, and she wants to support that person, but she's like, I cannot afford to pay unpaid, to give her a week unpaid, or to pay her, sorry, for a week.
Yeah.
I would love to, and can't imagine how this poor girl's feeling. Yes, I'm going to have to reschedule clients. That's fine. That happens. But I don't think I can pay her. What do I do? And it made me just think, like, one, from like just
Yeah.
a numbers perspective, like we need to have a pot, like we need to have some money squirreled away for things like this, especially if you have a
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
You just do not want to be in this position of having to make
No,
very, very difficult decisions.
because I think as a salon owner, one of your main jobs is to keep the business going so that
Yeah,
people are employed. And so that's what she was thinking about in a way, is like, I wanted to have a job to come back to, and it's like,
exactly.
if I
Yeah,
do this, that really compromises that bigger picture. But it's really hard, isn't it? And I think as hairdressers, it's when someone's not in, it causes a lot of problems, doesn't it? There's
yeah.
no plan B. It's really hard. I mean, that's another episode as well. So many new episodes.
So many
Yeah,
thanks, guys, for all the ideas.
are any of us writing these down?
No.
But I just think when someone's off sick or off on compassionate leave or whatever, it brings on problems, doesn't it? And if you're thinking about hiring, you've got to think about these up front, is really what
Yeah,
we're saying, isn't it? There's a lot
yeah,
to consider. It's,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think you should go into hiring people lightly.
No, definitely not. And
That's the point here,
and
isn't it?
yeah, and I know that this is your jam, so I'd love to ask you, for those people who are like, yeah, I want to do it, I want to, be really considered, really intentional about it. What advice would you give to people who that is the next step for them?
Yeah, I'm about, like, one of my favorite sayings is like, set your stall out.
Yeah.
I say it around loads of things. I say it around boundaries, and really this kind of is boundaries, really. It's like, be clear up front with what's going to happen. And so I think, if, let's say you're a salon owner, or you're a freelancer with a space, and you're like, okay, I'm going to hire my first person or an extra person, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And you're fully booked behind the chair every day, which is often why people are thinking about hiring. Like, you've got to make time in we've talked about this a little bit already, but you've got to make time in your schedule for looking after the people you're hiring,
Mm-hmm.
because that is going to be extra work. So on top of booking your clients, doing the hair, buying the stock, you've now got to nurture someone's career. And
Yeah.
I think not a lot of people are thinking about that. But, if you want to successfully hire people long term, you've got to nurture their career now. That's what keeps people employed. And that's going to take brain space and time,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. And so I think you've either got to do a little less time behind the chair to put your
Mm-hmm.
time into that, or you've got to consider other hires as well. Like, particularly if you're like, actually, I want to stay behind the chair, I'm nervous for that. You might need to start thinking about front of house,
Mm-hmm.
bookkeepers, admin people, VAs, but like supporting other stuff. Because what's going to happen is you're going to end up giving yourself, when I teach leadership, I have a course called Lead from the Heart. And one of the first things I say to people is, are you doing 3 jobs? Because I bet you are. I bet
Yeah.
you're managing your team, and I can't remember what the third one is now. My brain's dying. But you're doing a full-time column behind the chair and
Yeah.
managing the salon.
Yeah.
It's too many jobs. Like, it's too
Yeah.
many. And you're also like pushing the business forward. So you need to work on the business, work in the business, and manage the team. It's too many jobs for
Those are
someone
3
to do.
full-time jobs. Yeah.
It's 3 full-time jobs. I think people can do 2 of them reasonably successfully, and you can't do 3.
Yeah.
And so what often happens, what I see, is salon owners who are drowning because they're managing a salon and they're doing a full-time column, but they can't work on their business, and they
Yeah.
start drowning. And then the staff get upset because they're not being nurtured and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so you're going to really need to think about how you're going to make time for this hiring. And you know, we've talked about this a little bit earlier on, but I see this so often. The salon owner is the busiest person in the salon. And like you were saying with Kim, sometimes you need some of your clients to go, you need your team to be busier than you,
Yeah,
hours wise
definitely.
in the salon. Like when that balance is the other way round, you're always going to be stressed as a salon owner. I think you've really got to be working on the business more. And the more you hire, the more that needs to happen, doesn't it? And
Hmm.
so I suppose the first thing I want to say is, if you're thinking about hiring, is how are you going to make time for that,
Hmm.
and how are you going to nurture those people? You know, that's, yeah. I mean, what do you think, Maddie? What do you think people can do if they don't want to hire? Because this is
Hmm.
hire versus not hiring.
Yeah,
What if
yeah,
someone doesn't really want to hire, but they want to grow?
yeah.
You know, they're looking to
So
grow. How are you seeing this?
yeah,
I bet you see this in Breakthrough, don't you?
yeah, totally. And that this is sometimes what we kind of help people to make that decision is the do I hire, do I not hire, because they are that person who's really beyond capacity. So there's like a lot of things that you could do. For example, if you have a space, you can look into like hiring that space out. Either you could have renters, you could just hire it out for events. I think we need to get a bit more creative as well in like your salon is not just a
Mm,
salon Tuesday to Saturday. Like what else could it be? You know, we've got our lovely friend Samantha Cusick has an amazing place in London and hires that out for like all sorts of class things.
yeah.
And we're seeing a bit of a rise of that, which is really cool. It might be that
Do you know what
you,
I've seen?
oh
Can
yeah,
I just
what?
chip in here?
Go for it, yeah.
I've seen beauty therapy rooms be hired out as psychotherapy rooms in the evening.
Amazing, yeah.
It's
There's a
mint.
space next to me and they do they've got someone who do that's where my Reiki woman is, and someone else does therapy there, someone does like Kundalini yoga, someone does nighttime yoga, like
Mm,
it's a space and it can be, and actually they've done such a great job of making it so that each person can kind of make it theirs temporarily and then put everything
mm,
away. So yeah, like space hiring to other people, other maybe it's like holistic therapists. Like I've seen people hire
mm.
out to like for birthday parties, but not necessarily them delivering it, but just like the kids, you know, kids things, or
Yeah, it's just
um
a nice space.
like wedding prep. You know, getting a bit creative and thinking, do you know what? If I'm not using this for 2 days a week, is there something where I don't necessarily even have to be there, but I can still sort of
Mm,
make if the goal is additional
mm.
revenue.
Yeah,
Working, it could be
and
working with brands. Yeah,
there's going
sorry.
to be control issues. I was thinking around the space hire, isn't it? Again, that is going
Yeah,
to come back to that control that we talked about at the beginning.
yeah,
You know, when you
yeah.
want to
That's yeah,
let people in your space, you know, you've got to be able to
yeah.
relinquish control a little bit around that stuff,
It's
haven't you?
like I
Carry
like to,
on.
yeah, yeah. I like to say like, is the juice worth a squeeze? Like, is the money worth the lack
Ooh,
of
yeah,
control? Yeah, that's what I've got to think. And
yeah,
like, we can just
yeah,
learn lessons. If there's something we don't like, we just go right. Let's do it a bit different next time. Or what can I put in place?
yeah,
Yeah, it might be like working with brands. We see like there's a massive rise of that.
mm,
Um, I've seen people become like ambassadors, getting paid incredibly well to make content for
yeah,
brands,
mm,
become educators for other brands, even move
yeah,
into education yourself. But like, I think for
mm,
transparency, things like I see loads of people who are like, I want to do what you guys do and move into education. It is a lot. And this is why in Breakthrough we get them that full day a week, because I'm like, you need at least one full day a week to kind of work on that. So yeah, moving into becoming an educator, becoming a coach, whether that's in person classes, online. Um, but yeah, I think one of the easiest ones is just remove some of that workload, which we've touched on. So like automations. But if you are here and you're not using a booking system, shout out Timely. I
yeah.
honestly cannot even deal with that. Like how?
It's all
um,
about control again, though, Maddie, isn't it? You
yeah,
know, it's that dilemma between giving up control
yeah,
for what you're going to get, and it's
yeah.
always that dilemma.
It
Yeah.
it totally is, and like
Mm,
again, there's someone that comes to mind who's in Breakthrough at the moment who has implemented her booking system and was very like, oh, but I know what my clients need, and what if they book in the wrong things? And yeah, I had to catch up with her, and she's just like, my God, how
yeah.
life changing it
What
is
am
to
I going
just
to
get
do with all this
appointments.
time?
Well, exactly. That's one of the quickest ways to free uploads. And then it might just be that instead of hiring staff, you're hiring assistants. So if you're doing, say,
Yeah.
colours, there's no need necessarily for you to do the mixing, the rinsing off, the drying. You know, when I had an assistant, when I did extensions, to do removals, like clients didn't care who removed
Yeah.
them, doing prep, and that freed me up because my most profitable service was fittings. So I was like, okay,
Mm,
I'm just going to do, if I can fit in another fit in a day, that's like £1,000 a
yeah.
week. And you're not
Yeah.
paying your assistant £1,000 a week, especially if they're just doing a few hours for you, kind of here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, VAs, like we've talked about, we love our support people.
Mm-hmm.
Automations like chatbots, just ways to just remove time off your plate. Will, if you want to, then free up time to work more or work on something that will bring you money in the future, like this future, maybe side
Mm,
hustle or whatever. It's all just leverage, isn't it? It's like, how can I free something up here? Again, being okay with the lack of control or whatever, to free up time, and then how do I use that time? Do I just rest? Do I use that for
mm,
money making? Do I use that to work on a thing that will make me money later?
mm-hmm.
But yeah, like we have to manage our time really effectively, and
Mm.
I think people in this position are struggling with that.
Yeah, what I think, and I've been having these conversations recently, actually, with a few people in this dilemma is the dilemma is, you know, if you're always like, I can't do less clients because I'm worried about money, and you can't free up that time, you're going to spin on the spot. You're
Yeah,
never going to move forward. Like you've got to give up time or money at the beginning, haven't you? You know, like you've
yeah,
got to figure it out. You know,
yeah,
you've either got to get your numbers better, put your prices
yeah.
up, do my
Yes, yes,
discalculator,
yes. Thank
get
you.
that bit sorted so
Yeah,
that you can drop some hours, or you've just got to be brave and drop half a day and go for it.
yeah,
But I feel what the crux of the problem in this stage is that friction between, can I afford
yeah,
to make the time to work on my business?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think if you want to hire or you want to grow, you've got to figure that out in your head. You've got to make peace with it, haven't you?
Yeah. And that's just reminded me, there's like a phrase that I'll say, which is like, you're going to pay either way. You're going to pay money, or you're going to pay time, or potentially you're going to pay in some sort of like illness or burnout or an
Yeah, or you're
energetic
going to pay in the
cost.
other way. Yeah, if you don't
Yeah.
figure out the time or the money solution, you're going to burn out and you're just going to
Yeah.
stay in the spot and you're going to get resentful and fed up.
Yeah.
And so you've
Exactly
got to
this.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that
I mean,
also, oh yeah, go on.
you go.
I was going to segue. So if you're still on this, stay on this.
No, I was going to segue, so you go.
Okay. I was going to say that takes us very nicely to a segue into, should we do a shameless plug, Haley? It feels like it'd be rude not to.
I just feel like people should know how we can help them with this stuff,
Yeah,
Maddie.
of course. Yeah, this is our jam, isn't it? Yeah. What have you got?
Yeah. Well, I run a program called Lead from the Heart, which is for employed salon owners. It's not for people who rent chairs, because it's a lot around nurturing someone's career. And so that's why it's aimed only at employed salon owners. It's not for managers. It's
Hmm.
literally for the salon owner, because the role as a salon owner, I see, is really different. Like I talked about, are you behind the chair? Are you
Yeah.
managing? Are you a visionary? Like, what are you doing? Are you doing all three? Are you struggling? And so I'm really interested. Obviously, my main jam is mental health. And I think one of the brilliant ways we can improve the mental health of a lot of hairdressers is through improving leadership. This improves the mental health of the salon owner, because they've
Hmm.
got really good systems on how to lead effectively with good psychology stuff.
Hmm.
And it improves the lives of hairdressers because they're being led well. It improves how long people stay in their salons as employed people, because they're happy with the culture and all that sort of stuff. And so, and also, if you're a burnt out salon owner, Lead from the Heart's brilliant as well, because I find in general, when salon owners are struggling, they're often struggling with staff issues,
Agreed.
you know,
Yeah.
being a leader, or
Hmm.
staff are being problematic, but all around
Hmm.
that stuff. And so I run a program called Lead from the Heart. It's a 6-week live coaching program, and I love it. I love coaching salon owners around that stuff. I'm very
Yeah.
passionate about leadership. What have you got, Maddie?
I was going to say, I wish every employed salon owner went to you before even employing a single person, because you are so right.
Yeah.
It would not just help them, but our industry. Imagine being hired by a person who's been coached by you on leadership. Oh my God, I would just be buzzing about
How
it.
nice would that be?
I know.
It
So
is
get
so
the word
lovely,
out,
and so
guys.
many salon owners that do it say, "I wish I knew. I wish I knew this stuff 20 years ago."
Yeah,
Because
but
sadly, there's not a lot of leadership training in our industries. This would, I
no.
mean, it would work for beauty or hair. It's
Hmm.
all the same thing, really, that
Yeah, yeah.
we're struggling with. Um, but there's not a lot of leadership training, and the leadership training I see, really, I think is business training. It's all very
It's
numbers
systems,
focused.
processes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
I'm like, no,
sales
you're
and
missing the
yeah.
point. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
the
Yeah,
relationship you're going to have with your team when you're a leader, and
yeah.
creating healthy cultures. It's different. It's not
Yeah.
about numbers.
I think doing that work with you before will actually have a natural knock-on effect on the numbers, on the processes. Like I don't think you can
Yeah.
system your way out of bad culture, bad relationships, bad leadership.
No, I mean, you
It
just
just
push
doesn't.
people. Bad culture and then obsessed with numbers. I'm out of
Oh,
that salon.
yikes.
I've
Yeah,
worked in a
not
few.
cool. Yeah.
There's nothing worse, is there, than a bad culture and being lectured about your numbers every 10 minutes.
Yeah, like you're
Awful.
not hitting
So,
targets. Yeah, grim. So everyone go and see Haley,
all of
please.
that.
Thank you for a better world.
Please and thank
If
you.
if you are on the fence, if you are just basically like rammed, or if you're a salon owner and you're in this position as well and you want to just free some time up behind the chair, come and see me in Breakthrough. So it's a small group coaching program, again, for hair, nails, beauty, whatever. We've had people from all over the world as well, so it doesn't matter where you are. But yeah, if you are full and you want to drop a day without sacrificing profits, because exactly like you said, Haley, we need to create that that safety. So we work first on making the money, like where do we get the money from and how do we retain as much money in the business, so we don't drop the day until it's safe to do so, because I don't want to push us all off the proverbial cliff and have an absolute wobbler. So yeah, if you're in this sort of decision phase, that might work well as well. So we'll sling both of the links, where when you listen to this, we might be open, we might be waitlist, but we'll pop the links in the show notes. And then shall we wrap up with a little cheeky hyper focus, Haley?
What have
What do you
you do
got?
yours first,
All
Maddie. What
right,
have you
okay.
got?
So, bit of a curveball. What year is it, Haley? 2010, because I'm obsessed with Ugg boots. I don't know how this even
Are you
came
going to
into
get a
my.
juicy couture trackie as well?
Oh my god, imagine in the gym, my sparkle bum, a pink one. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't even know how this has got into my head, but I'm so down like a rabbit hole, and it's so funny because I teach sales psychology, right? And I understand like the psychology of scarcity and urgency. And there's a pair that I've got on my feet now. It's like the little mini ones. They're very cute. But there's one called the Tasman and the Taz, and they're like a little slippery looking one.
Oh, I've
And
seen them.
I've bought them 3 times, and all 3 times they've then emailed me and said, we don't have them, we're going to refund you. And it's making me angry, but also more obsessed with getting them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and it says
scarcity is
like,
working on you.
yeah, and it's like 12,000 people have looked at this today, and I'm like, God damn it, I need these shoes. But I can say the ones that I did get, my second choice, but I got them so comfy. I'm like so converted because
Yeah.
I like a cozy. I'm an elevated, cozy gal, so I like to be very comfy with nice things. So I'm in, and
Yes.
hopefully next time I'll be able to tell you about the new ones because I've ordered some from somewhere else. So fingers crossed they don't get cancelled. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I saw these the
obsessed.
other day. I was teaching in a salon and I noticed that 2 of the staff members were wearing these.
Were
I
they
know
like
exactly
19,
which
Haley?
ones.
Am I too old for them?
No, they weren't. They weren't.
Okay,
They were just
good.
down with the kids. They've
Nice.
got like quite a
Thanks.
heavy platform on, haven't
Yes,
they? And
that's
they're a
it.
bit
Yeah.
muley. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw them because I was like,
Very
nice.
cute.
They look comfy.
Well,
They
that's
look like
it.
a working from home shoe to me
Very much. I
for
feel
us.
like I feel like
You're
Crocs
like,
is
I'm
like
not
the
in my
summer shoe.
slippers.
Yeah, I'll leave the house in them.
These
I
are
go about.
shoes.
Yeah, they're shoes. They're real. What is your hyper focus?
QVC, the
Oh my
shopping
god!
channel, madam. Bad things,
Again, what
like,
year is this? We're
honestly.
in a time warp.
What year is it? Right, I'll tell you this. I've always had a bit of a fascination with the shopping channel, a bit like I'm obsessed with cults. Like,
Yeah,
I find the shopping channel just fascinating. And so
yeah,
years ago, when I lived with my flatmate Craig, when I first moved out of my mum and dad's, when I was a young hairdresser, me and my flatmate used to watch the shopping channel all the time and buy stuff, like random things when we were a bit drunk. We had
yeah.
all sorts of random stuff. And so I have history with the shopping channel. But this got kicked off again recently because Adam Reed, the delightful Adam Reed,
Yes.
is on the shopping channel. He's selling his archive products on the shopping channel. And I love Adam. I love his products. I've tried them. They're excellent. He gave me some. They're brilliant.
Yeah.
And he was going to be on the shopping channel. And I was like, I'm watching this. So I set my alarm. I got up early on Sunday and I watched it. And I was like, oh my God, I bought some stuff.
Yeah.
I bought
Amazing.
some of Adam's stuff because I was like, you've sold it to me. I've already got loads of it, but I bought more of it. It was brilliant. I was totally involved. I'm so easily marketable too. But he was so much fun on the shopping channel. But it reminded me that I love the shopping channel. And so I'm nervous this is actually going to become a hyper focus. So this is a split hyper focus.
Yeah.
Number one, I'm a bit obsessed with Adam's products at the minute because they're so brilliant. And the way he was explaining them was I was like, I need them all. But then also I started flicking around the shopping channel and I was like, ooh, they've got some amazing brands on there. And so I feel this could become a problematic one. But I'm generally fascinated with the shopping channel in general. One of the housewives on the Beverly Hills makes all her money on QVC 2 days a year.
That's wild.
It's crackers.
I think they did.
It's so fascinating.
I love stuff like that. I love infomercials. I love in America. I love their adverts. I think they're incredible. I love the like, and another bonus. That's me. I'm like, I'll give you another bonus. Like, and you get free shipping and you get a 20-year guarantee. It's just amazing. I do love a shopping channel, but for me, very dangerous, Hayley. Like, I'd be remortgaging my house to buy all the things.
It's so dangerous. Also, I would quite like to work on the shopping channel.
I think we need to get in.
Great.
Yeah.
They've moved one to Manchester, they film loads of it in Manchester now. And I'm like, I think I'd be great on the shopping channel. That's all I've got to say.
Okay, again.
I think I'd be good. And I like live.
Yeah, we love live.
We love live.
If any of our listeners can put us in touch with shopping channel, we're obsessed. We're like, big ask, guys.
I've got nothing to sell on the shopping channel really, though. Adam's got products.
Well, sell for Adam.
Sell, but I just want to be a presenter on the shopping channel. I want to be the one talking to Adam, going, "This is amazing."
Yeah, and go on and feel it like.
Questions.
Do you know on daytime TV when they have the person like doing this style and there's the poor models getting dragged out in all the clothes and the presenter's like, oh, I love what you've done with that choker and that. So tell me more about how we can style this.
Oh,
the dream
job. Like, I would love that so much. So shout out to anyone listening. Get me on QVC.
Get us on it. Amazing. Well, I think that's a beautiful place to wrap up, Hayley.
Yes.
Another thrilling chat. And I will see you next week.
See you next week, Maddie.
All right. Bye.
Nice to talk to you. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments.
Please support those who support us and check out Timely, who we recommend is our favourite booking system for you. New customers can get 50% off their first 3 months with the code COFFEE50.